All right, how is everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out my channel. Look who I got with me today. It's RIA LOEKS. We're at Orlando International Airport. What is that again? MCO? I screw that up all the time. And just a heads up, I actually did a video at the Orlando International Airport.
You did?
Yeah, I did an entire video. I walked it and kind of showed you where A was, B was. Yeah, I took a tour. It says if you ever want to go through Orlando, I don't know what I named it. It was so long ago. I'll show it to you one day. But if you ever want to learn about the Orlando International Airport, there's a video I did on that. And the reason I have RIA here today, she's going to give you some helpful hints regarding traveling. We both travel a ton. And I was just talking to her. She forgot her water bottle.
My swell bottle.
Right, and they're going to be banning supposedly water or plastic bottles in the airports. So I don't know if they're going to be doing them in cartons water, but you might want to bring your own water. Right?
You can bring your own plastic bottle.
Right. So what else do you want to do? Hear the babies crying? That's constant in Orlando International Airport. So be prepared if you come here. That's one of the things I talked about. Obviously, Disney World being here and it being the mega for being the tourist capital of the world. You're going to run across a lot of kids. What else would you recommend when you're traveling, RIA?
Pack snacks, healthy
What?
snacks.
All right. Save money?
If you're, depending on how long your flight is,
Okay.
if it's long, you know, international or something like that, you should always pack an extra set of clothing in your carry-on, especially underwear. Just saying.
Right.
That's a really good best practice to do.
Right.
What else? Like a wrap for women, or even something to keep you cozy in the airplanes because they're always so cold.
Yeah, and here's something too, like we're just discussing, this just happened to be actually recently, I had to fly somewhere and they put my luggage on the plane, then they didn't allow me on the plane, they only allowed a certain amount of people on the plane, right? So they took my luggage and they obviously flew somewhere and then I was stuck there. I ended up getting in my car and driving to my next destination, which was that airport to get my luggage. I got there, they redirected the plane to another airport, which I had to go to. But say I didn't take off to go do that. You definitely, if you travel, you want to carry backup underwear, like she's saying, maybe even socks if you got a backpack.
Toothpaste and toothbrush.
Yeah, you should be carrying that constantly anyways, because everybody's breath stinks when they travel. So try to brush your teeth, actually, now that I think.
The small toothpaste.
Right, the small ones.
Travels.
Right, the travel ones.
Yeah, because you know, if you even have an older tube of toothpaste that you've rolled up, and it's still considered too big, even though it's half empty.
Yeah, and don't think you're not going to get stuck in airports for long periods of time, because a lot of times you are. Right?
Right.
Here's another thing we talk about all the time is having, a global.
Oh, TSA pre.
Yeah, TSA pre-check.
Or clear. Some people really like clear. My brother-in-law really likes clear.
Right, if you travel consistently, you really want to spend the extra money to get that. It is a lifesaver, especially if you're going in and out of Canada. When you're going into Canada, it doesn't necessarily work as well, but coming back into the United States, if you have global, it's awesome. What else? Do you hear the blenders over there? We're right over here.
They're delicious.
Yeah, this place is called Bananas. We come here all the time. They got pretty good fresh juices and smoothies, and they have sandwiches as well.
My wrap is okay. I needed more sauce or something.
Yeah, I'm not down with their wraps as much. There's
I
also
was
a
just still hungry.
Starbucks. Yeah. So, and this is A, so we're heading southwest.
Correct, which A has the Starbucks in Orlando International Airport, which is, to me, the better terminal. Because sometimes I have to fly American.
Yep.
I really like the Southwest terminal better.
I like the A terminal much better,
yeah.
truthfully. They have a better food court here as well, I personally think. Like she says, they have Starbucks. The other one, B, they have a Cuban coffee, but the food, not nearly as, in my opinion. So, anything else?
If you wear flats or some comfortable, I don't know, that's just my thing. I mean, I wore wedges, heels last time we flew, but I think for women, pack a pair of flip-flops or flats in your bag because you don't know if you're going to get stuck. You're going to have to run to your gate. That's another big thing. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, comfortable shoes is here's something you should do too if you're at airports. If you can, try to get as much walking in as you can. I think a lot of people don't realize you can get a lot of extra steps when you're at the airport. Don't be lazy, just go through security, then go sit down. Because a lot of times then you're going to be sitting for long periods of time on the plane. Then you get off the plane, you're going to either get a rental car, Uber, go to your hotel, sit down, lay down, or go to another restaurant, or go to a bar area. But you're always sitting. Like even if I have an hour and a half,
I walk.
we walk up and down.
Well, I play Pokemon.
She plays Pokemon as usual.
The airports are the best to play Pokemon.
Yeah. So, but we try to get as many steps in, and also I don't take escalators if I can walk the stairs. If I, so those type of things really I think help you physically.
Yeah.
And when you land, try to go to a gym, even if you can't make a gym, say a gym like more of a hardcore or a gym. Try to go to your hotel gym when you land. Either walk, treadmill, or do some type of exercise after you travel. I think blood flow is a must. What do you think, Ree?
Yeah, that's you.
That's my thing. That's not hers. We're at a shoe shine joint over here, as you can tell. That's why you see this shoe behind Rhea's head.
Oh. I forgot that. No, that's just because I like shoes.
Sometimes shoe shine joints are really good. If you got to get your shoe shine, sometimes they'll cut you a deal. But usually, what's it? $8 for shoes, $10 for boots.
Oh, I didn't know.
It varies. I get them done once in a while, and I like those guys. And you can also use a debit card or a credit card. Don't think it's always cash.
Lots of places take Apple Pay or Samsung Pay too, which I think is a lot more secure than taking out your credit card also. But anyway.
Here's something I do on a plane that Rhea doesn't do is I very seldom have the seatbelt on. I know I'm going to get in trouble saying this. Of course, I put it on when you take off or when you land. But for the most part, I always try to keep the seatbelt off. People ask me why. Truthfully, that is if anybody ever makes a move, I have the freedom to immediately make my move. So I know you may be thinking, what are you talking about? I just actually had a situation, for instance, we were flying. Was I in Canada? I can't even remember. Somebody had a stroke. Right on the airplane, right in front of me. He actually fell and hit my feet. And what was amazing is the truth was he was the only flight attendant on board. And then we really had no doctors. We had no nurses. We turned him on his side. After a while, he did fine. But it also looked like we didn't have anyone else really to help us but ourselves. Like people had to run up to the telephone, call the captain or whoever was in charge, the pilot. But the thing was, I was able very quickly, even not having my seatbelt, he fell on my feet. I flipped him over because he was starting to, swallow his own. I don't know. It wasn't like, just choking. And
he was seizing.
Yeah. My point being, if something ever went down more drastic, it could be whatever it is. I have the jump to immediately be able to go. If you're locked into a seatbelt sometimes, those few extra seconds, means a lot. Now, that's just my personal opinion, and that goes for anything I do. And we're going to be doing a podcast.
I disagree because I've been in heavy turbulence before.
I have too.
And I think you should always...
For me, that's a different situation if we're in heavy turbulence. Of course, I don't want to smash my head, but I'm talking about where, like, a lot of times you're like, all right, we're going to be hitting turbulence. The truth is, the turbulence, for the most part, isn't as drastic as they make it sound. If you're going like this, yes, and we've all been in that.
Yeah. But I was there when the lady's laptop next to me flew up, and then my drink flew.
Right.
I was on what do you call it? Bulkhead. So,
right.
I braced my foot. Braced my foot.
I've had a couple of those where I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it's scary.
Too.
Me too. It's scary. Well, we don't want to scare people about flight. But anyway.
No, and I was also talking about, we just recently talked about this. When you travel, a lot of people, I think, they're carrying a huge backpack, carrying a bag.
Yeah.
If something ever goes down, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does, you want to be able to flee if you have to, or if you have to protect yourself, or whatever the case may be, you want to be able to move very quickly and be prepared mentally to do that. Like that could even be protecting yourself just from when you're traveling, walking down the street. What is it? Go ahead.
Always make sure that your electronics are all fully charged before you get to the airport, because even though some airports have upgraded with more outlets and things like that, there are some airports where you cannot find an outlet and you're fighting for an outlet. Especially if you get delayed or something like that, it helps to carry the portable chargers, the other batteries, and just make sure that your electronics are charged up. I think that's really important too.
Yeah, a lot of old school airports like she's talking about that I even run into, they have no chargers, or they'll have two in a corner and they're taken.
That's not chargers.
Electrical outlets. I'm sorry, electrical outlets. They'll only have 2. Here's something too that I was just thinking of. A lot of times I get burned because I go to certain airports thinking that they're going to have a certain amount of restaurants, or they're going to have the coffee I like.
That's why I said pack your snacks.
Yeah, or food, and then you get there, and sometimes a lot of airports may have some restaurants on the outside, but then once you go through security and inside, you're done. Like literally, there's vending machines, you know, and you're like, holy shit, I didn't eat breakfast, hypothetically. Now I got a 3-hour flight. I'm not going to eat
It's
for...
happened to all of us. I mean, I went to, where was I? It was a really small regional airport, and there was like one like random sandwich stand, and it was like, you know, I think it just helps to just be prepared, and things are very expensive. Like a bottle of water is $5. That's why I say, you know, invest in a Swell bottle. I think it's better for the environment. Bring your snacks. What else do I do in my handbag?
Have backup stuff, because a lot of times, like say your headphones, they may break. I'm just saying, or something may break, and you got to have backup on top of backup. I always talk about.
I say carry extra Ziploc bags too sometimes.
That's true. That you could even put your receipts if you're traveling for business, or just stick your toothpaste or your toothbrush in there.
Yeah. That's a really good one.
Yeah. So what else? Anything else? These are just
random.
Just random traveling tips here.
Yeah.
All right. That's all. Anything else?
Not for now.
I can edit it out. What else we got? Magazines. You're obsessed with magazines.
I have 2 magazines in my bag.
She brings the magazines she wants. She doesn't usually buy them here.
I bought one last time, but yeah, I brought them from home.
Yeah, and also sometimes when you go on certain airlines, you have to have an app, or you have to download the app to use their free television or get their movies or all them things. And a lot of times you don't realize that till you get on a plane. So, for instance, if you always take American, you may have that app, but then, say for out of a fluke, you're using United or something else, you got to remember, or Delta, or whoever it is. When you get on the airplane, sometimes you can't download anything because there's no Wi-Fi, and then you're burned. You got this long flight, and now you don't have access to movies or television, and then you're going to have to pay for the internet, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, one other thing I do too is I carry an extra tote bag in my luggage.
Yes.
An empty tote bag or something just in case my luggage is, number one, overweight, or if I'm going somewhere where I'm going to bring home some stuff, you know, I have another extra bag, because, you know, Southwest, you know, gives you 2 bags free, but other airlines charge you quite a bit. So,
right.
You know, you can put your handbag, you know, in a bigger bag and still have your 2, you know, bags to carry on the plane. So anyway, that's just something to think about as well.
Yeah, and if you don't like to pay for extra bag fees, you might not want to max out your bag when traveling. A lot of people say it's 50 pounds, you max at 50, but you know you're going to go there and buy things. So basically, where you're putting yourself in a position where you know flying back, your bag's going to be overweight. Doesn't make sense. So only pack 40 pounds, and then gives you the freedom of, you know, I know. Well, it gives you 10 more pounds to buy things, right?
True. Yeah, but that's what I was saying, to bring an extra bag.
You could bring an extra bag, but a lot of people don't want to pay for the extra bag, is what I'm saying when traveling.
No, but I'm just saying you can carry on a smaller tote bag.
You could do that as well.
Yeah, because if you only have your handbag, then you can
absolutely.
You can put your handbag in another tote bag. That's what I did in Vegas.
I'm carrying her boots in my backpack. That shows exactly what she's talking about.
I do have one last thing.
Go ahead.
I think, in my opinion, when traveling...
Let me switch hands. I'm getting shaky here. Go ahead. These blenders are a pain in the ass. All right.
The better you present yourself and dress up, and I'm not talking about business attire, but I think if you put yourself together better, you get treated a little bit better. I'm just saying.
100%. It's not even a question about it.
I'm not, you know, and I'm not saying you got to dress to the nines. I mean, I used to leave business meetings in my heels and skirts and all that stuff, but I think that, you know, don't look like you rolled out of bed, even if you've got a 6 a.m. flight. I mean, I've seen people in the pajamas and slippers go through security.
Right.
And I mean, I think it's number one, disrespectful to the flight crew. I think also you should dress appropriately. You know, I've heard of people getting kicked off for having too short of shorts or too short of skirts, whatever. I just think that you should be travel ready, and that means comfortable, but it doesn't mean sloppy. I mean, I'm sorry, but you could probably pan the camera, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that, right? And we're not going to do that. But I mean, that's what just prompted the thought in my head. That's all I'm saying. And you don't have to worry. I mean, my best friends, I mean, sometimes we wash our faces if we've been traveling for a long time, you know. I mean, I'm not saying put on, you know, all your jewelry and things like that, but you gotta look. I think you should be respectful. I mean, there's something lost with the way that, you know, people travel. Even my dad always says that, you know. I mean, anywhere we go, you should always be put together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how many people they're going to come across that are going to be helping them or servicing them. So even if you're say you're at the airport, if you use Gates service, what do they call that outside? What service is that again?
Curbside.
Yeah, I forgot that name. If you're using curbside service, if you look a certain way, you're going to get treated better. If you go through security, if you look a certain way, you're going to be treated better. If you go sit at a bar or restaurant, the truth is if you look, you're going to get treated differently. When you go to get on the plane, the flight attendant may even treat you differently. When you go to a hotel, you're renting a car. What she's saying is there's so many people you're going to come across that are going to help service you. If you look a certain way, they're definitely going to treat you just at a better standard.
Well, I will say,
whatever.
You know, like I was traveling through Key West, the airport in Key West, and people get on the planes barefoot there, but that's the lifestyle down in Key West, right?
That's disgusting.
Okay. It was so, I've never seen anything like that.
It's too light.
That was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Like,
yeah, that's
barefoot boarding the
ridiculous.
plane.
Wow.
That's gross too. And that's why I say bring comfortable shoes, because how many women have I seen walk through the airports in their bare feet with their heels in their hands? That's disgusting.
Oh, that's disgusting. I see it in nightclubs and restaurants.
That's
I've
gross.
seen that.
That's, I mean, wear some tasteful sandals or, you know, flat shoes.
The other thing is try to smell better, especially men.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of you guys, you smell like a smelly piece of shit. Take a shower. I don't care. Don't shower the night before necessarily at the hotel. Then you sleep in there. You sweat all night because you don't want to shower in the morning. You run, right? Your clothes smell. Try to bring clean clothes and enough clothes, but really brush your teeth a lot of times too. You could just smell a lot of people's breath on the airplane. Or if you're going to eat something, drink something, and then
digest it.
Right, but then you're going to probably
melted. I need to drink my smoothie.
You got this. I got a smoothie too. But you know, when you're about to get on a plane, even coffee breath. If you've been sitting on a plane for hours, take the time, go brush your teeth, refresh.
For reals.
You know, sometimes people don't realize they haven't. You know, if you start off early in the morning, say you start off at 4 in the morning to get prepared, and by the time it's 10 o'clock, sometimes you're arriving somewhere at night or 6. You don't realize how all the shit that's going to. It's just brutal.
I love toothbrushes.
All right, anything else? This is 17 minutes. We're going to wrap it up here. If you get a chance, subscribe to my channel. Me and Rhea also do some podcasts on my together on my podcast, The Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? Me and Rhea also visit a bunch of different gyms together all over North America. And we do different restaurants we like to go to. And malls.
Yep.
Yeah, we do some malls too. And then you can see her play Pokemon. So, you can also find me on, besides YouTube, my podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Rhea is Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook?
Facebook. I do have a Twitter account, but I don't use it.
Right, so that's where she's
I don't know
at.
how to use Twitter very well. So
That's it. We'll wrap it up there. And again, if you get a chance, subscribe. All right? Hopefully that helped you with some helpful hints regarding traveling.
I think so.
I think so too. All right, we did a podcast on traveling. That was one of the first podcasts we ever did.
It is.
Was all the tricks of the trade. So if you kind of
Canada.
like this video, you may like that podcast as well.
I think it's a little, yeah, it's a little more detailed. This one was kind of like
This
on
was
the
just
fly.
off the cuff. Yeah. All right, take care. Anything else, Reed?
That's it.
All right.
Safe travels.